Hello, this is Charlene. We are going to be finding the domain and the range for all of these points. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. If you can count them, that is what is known as a discrete relation. It's a set of points. It is not a line, it is not a curve, it is not a circle, it is just individual points. That is what is known as discrete. Okay, so let's look at the first point. We're always going to be looking to go left to right. So the first point on the far left side is this point right here. And technically its coordinates are -2 and +2. That's the X and Y for that particular point, X and Y. So our domain values have to do with the X-axis, and that means it also has to do with the X values. So the X values. Okay, so on that particular point, we have an X value of -2. The X value is a -2. So over here, that's what we're going to list as our first domain value, our first X point that is represented by the point. Let's make that bracket a little bit better. That looks better. Okay, so -2 is my first X value represented by the first point on the left side. Okay, so again, we remind ourselves we're going left to right, so the next point would be this point right here. This point right here has coordinates of 1 and 3. So that means that its X value would be the 1, and that literally would be the next value in my domain, 1. Okay, but another way to think about this, let's think about this a little bit differently. These points all line up with the X-axis. So this point right here lines up with -2. That matches with my -2 I put here. This point right here matches up with the 1. That matches up with the 1. That matches with what I put in my set of X values. So we're going to continue going left to right. So the next point would be this point right here. This point right here is actually on the X-axis. It's on the X-axis at the number 3. So that means that would be my next X value represented. And then I'm going to continue on going left to right, and I go over here. I'm going to stop right there because right there is another point. This point lines up on the X-axis with the number 5. So that is going to be my next X value represented. And then I have only one point left. I go over just a little bit because that lines up with this point right here. Well, this point right here, where does it line up with the X-axis? It lines up there at the +6. So that will be my final X value represented by the points in this discrete relation. Okay, so now let's think about these points in terms of the Y-axis. Let's go ahead and just erase all that stuff and think about it in terms of the Y-axis. Okay, so the Y-axis, instead of going from left to right, we are actually going to go from bottom to top. So we're going to start with the negative numbers here at the bottom, the negative numbers, and then we will go toward the positive numbers. We'll go from the bottom. So we're going to start with the point at the lowest point. The lowest point is right here. That point is the bottom point. So what does it line up with on the Y-axis? Because our range values have to do with the Y-axis, and the Y-axis has to do with the Y values. So this point right here on the Y-axis lines up with the -2. That's what it lines up with. So that is going to be my first range value. It's going to be a -2. Okay, so then I'm going to, like I said, we're moving in this direction. So that means the next one that I'm going to go to, I'm going to go up, 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 up right there because that's where my next point is. And that point lines up on the Y-axis with 0. So that will be my next range value, 0. Okay, and then I'm going to move up again. Like I said, we're going from negative to positive, so I'm going to go up to the next point. The next point would be, it's going to be right there. That is the next point, but that point lines up with the 2 on the y-axis. So that's going to be my next range value. I'm going to put a 2 right there, positive 2. And then I'm going to go up again. Like I said, I'm going from negative to positive. So the next point up is going to be this point. And on the y-axis, it lines up with the 3. So we're going to put a 3 over here as my next y value. And then again, moving bottom to top, I'm going to go up, 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 up. Oh, there's my next point. And what does it line up with on the y-axis? It lines up with the 6 on the y-axis. So that's going to be my last domain or range value, my y value, because there are no more points above that. That is the final y value. So I will close that up. And so this is my set of domain values, and this is my set of range values. All of these were unique. There were not 2 points lined up with the same x value. There were not 2 points lined up with the same y value. So we definitely ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 domain values, and we also ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 range values. There were no duplicates, and we do not have to write duplicates, but there were no duplicates. So every single x and y value had to be represented. So hopefully that helps you understand how to think through the process, how to come up with your domain values, how to come up with your range values. Just have a great day. Come back and see us soon. Click on the like button, click on the subscribe button.